You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. I've heard some business people talk about, self-employed business people talk about the fact that they are not employable, and that's why they started their own business. And so they're kind of like accidental entrepreneurs, accidental business owners. I want to expand your thinking, and let's see if we can identify some principles that would make you forever employable, whether it is in a corporate context or if it is in the area of attracting new clients, new customers to your business. Because regardless of whether you are in business for yourself or whether you work for someone else, you are essentially selling your ideas, your products, your services to other people who either hire you or don't hire you. So I think we should probably take a look at this and see what are the principles, what are the key ideas and the big takeaways that we need so that we can be successful wherever you're at in building your business, building a brand, whatever your mission in life is at the moment. And today's guest is a real expert in the area of career development, and he's actually written a book. So I'm pleased to welcome Jeff Gothelf. He is someone who focuses on transformation, and both in the digital and the professional development sense. He's the co-author of the award-winning book Lean UX and the Harvard Business Review Press book Sense and Respond. And as if that's not enough, he's got an upcoming book titled Forever Employable. So, Jeff, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Ralph, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
You have really got a powerful brand, and you work with coaches, with authors, with speakers. You are someone who very experienced and has really mastered their message. So hats off to you. You've done an excellent job here of packaging and positioning your expertise. Give us some background. Tell us how you got into this area, and what's your story?
Absolutely. I spent the first 10 years of my career in tech. I mean, I'm still in tech, but I started off in the .com, to the heyday of the .com 1.0, Web 1.0 days. And I worked as a designer, as a web designer for a while. And over the course of about a decade, worked my way up into team management and team leadership, both in design and product management roles. And I found myself in a position about 10 years into my career where I needed to solve a specific problem for web and application designers that was plaguing my team. Now, it turned out that was not just plaguing my team, it was plaguing design teams and software development teams around the world. And as we began to solve for that problem, that's just a specific process problem, really more than anything, I started writing about it. I started sharing my story proactively, talking about, well, we tried this and it worked, and we tried that and it didn't work. And it was on blogs and Twitter a little bit here and there, and maybe a little bit on LinkedIn, and then ultimately started giving short talks about it. And that thing went global because that pain point was global. And that conversation became the crux of my first book, Lean UX. Now, after I wrote Lean UX and talked about this new way of approaching software design and development, the work that I was doing fundamentally changed. I was no longer being asked to design products and services and apps, but instead I was asked to teach the material in the book. And for me, that was transformational. It really took my career in a vastly different direction than I ever anticipated. And I began doing the coaching and the consulting and the training and the speaking work much more. And then the feedback that I was getting from the teams that I was working with created new opportunities for me to tell different stories. And along with my co-author, Josh Seiden, we wrote a book called Sense and Respond to have this business conversation with the leaders about how to rethink about their businesses as software-based businesses. And again, this continues this trend of coaching, speaking, training, consulting, that type of thing. And what's fascinating is that over the years, people started asking me, well, how did you build this business? How did you, kind of create this practice for yourself, or get a book contract, a book deal, that type of thing? And there was an item sitting in my backlog for years to tell this story. And then about a year ago, I finally got the motivation enough to say, okay, I'm going to tell the story. And that became the content of Forever Employable. Now, the interesting thing about Forever Employable is that it talks about how to build this type of career that I have today, but it also leverages, it uses many of the same ideas that I teach to this day and used in my career to develop successful digital products and services. And so there's a real application of what I learned building digital products and services into how to build a successful, modern, forever employable career.
So give us an example of the type of problem that you were initially beginning to solve, and then that really expanded out into this wonderful thing that you're doing now. But help us to dig into the problem a little bit, and what got everyone's attention as you are so masterfully solving this problem.
So for me, look, the subtitle of the book is How to Stop Looking for Work and Let Your Next Job Find You, which I find is a compelling value proposition. Yeah. Now, look, right? Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
And look, and for me, that was the goal. The goal. So the goal when I set out down this path, because on the morning of my 35th birthday, the book starts out with this story. On the morning of my 35th birthday, I woke up in a cold sweat, and that cold sweat was, and look, by all accounts, I was doing pretty well. I had a well-paying job in New York City, married, 2 kids, a house, 2 cars, the American dream, right? And I wake up on my 35th birthday, and I am terrified. I'm terrified because, from my perspective, being 35, mind you, I'm 47 now, but from the perspective of being 35, I saw myself in 5 years being 40, old, expensive, and unemployable. and that terrified me. Look, I was hiring designers and product managers onto my team. I knew exactly what I was paying them. I knew how good they were. I knew they were better than me. That's the whole point, is hiring people who are better than you. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to match their salary demands, if nothing else, right? But they were faster, better, more talented than me ultimately. And so I had to figure out how to stop looking for work and have these jobs find me. And so the problem that I'm solving, and this is the problem that I was solving for myself initially, and I see myself hopefully helping a broad set of folks in the world, is to create this, essentially it's you can call it a safety net, you can call it a magnet that protects you from the inevitable career twists and turns and churns that happen that are outside of your control. So you could be doing a great job at your organization. You might be excelling and getting promotions and getting incremental raises and a few more people to manage. But then there's an economic crisis. There's a pandemic, right? There's some kind of for example, right? There's a geopolitical crisis, something along those lines, right? And all of a sudden the company's got to cut costs, or operations in a certain part in your department have to take a hit, and you're out, right? And so and I see this all the time with folks who then panic, and they've got to update their resume, and they've got to apply for jobs, and they got to, chase down those leads. And so how do you create a situation where you don't have that panic, where you are a magnet for opportunities, where the safety net that you've created for yourself is thought leadership and recognized expertise in your domain that allows jobs and opportunities to find you? So whether you choose to stay employed in-house, or whether you choose to be a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or a thought leader, a speaker, or a coach, or a consultant, there is always this inbound flow of opportunities, right? That's the problem. How do you create that so that you never have to panic no matter what's happening around you? That's the problem.
What a great concept to approach it. And I think that is the problem for people who they've identified what their greatness is. They know where their area of expertise is. They know where they want to be a thought leader in. Now, if you're listening to this and you don't know what that is, then I'd suggest you got to figure that out. But if you already are experienced, you are in the top 10%, 5% of people who are doing what you do and doing it well. You're gifted, you're experienced. Then what Jeff is talking about is really a way to set yourself free from the limiting constraints of just working for a particular company in the traditional sense. Jeff's talking about being able to expand your horizons and even going beyond starting a business, but seeing that you are the brand, you are the solution to someone's problem, and opening your mind and your horizons to other situations, other opportunities where you stop looking for work or you stop looking for clients. You stop looking for your next gig, and instead you let these opportunities come to you. Have I stated your proposition fair enough, Jeff?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And look, there's a level of experience and expertise that you have that can be shared much more broadly than my guess is you're probably sharing right now. And it's that act of sharing, of giving back to your community, to your industry, to your peers and your colleagues and folks that are coming up in the industry, that creates that platform around yourself and that ensures that you've always got these options, right? My best friend's father worked at DuPont for 40 years. To me, like I'm 47 years old. That's a foreign concept to me, right? To work somewhere for 40 years, right? It just doesn't happen anymore. And so then how do you create the kinds of opportunities around yourselves so that when the unexpected happens, and it will happen, I can't count the number of crises and companies I've been in over the years where there have been cuts and layoffs and reductions in force and that type of thing.
Sure.
The current situation notwithstanding, of course, and people panic, and rightfully so. How do we solve for that?
This is really intriguing to me, because this is exactly the type of thing that I deal with my clients. And how do we take your expertise and turn it into something that can be used in a business or used as a consulting opportunity? And you're really putting a neat spin on this so that it's really raised my awareness, not to just think about, okay, start a business around your expertise in the traditional sense. That may be the right option for some. On the other hand, there may be other options. So let's talk about your process. When someone recognizes that threat, that there is no such thing as job security, but really, the best security is your knowledge, your expertise, and the ability to attract these opportunities instead of you having to chase them around. I really love, by the way, that subtitle of your book is just amazing. How to stop looking for work and let your next job find you. We could take that and apply it to looking for clients. How to stop looking for clients and let your next client find you. And really, exactly. However you package and position it, the idea is that you become so well known and you package yourself so well that you automatically make these connections. People automatically seek you out. How do we get ourselves into that very, very exciting position? What are some steps that we can begin to take to get into that mindset and into that position moving forward?
So the first and most important thing you need to do is identify where to plant your flag. So in the book, the first step in the process is planting your flag. Now, what I mean by that is deciding what expertise, what domain expertise you are going to own, right? You're going to make an explicit decision to be known as the person who knows a lot about X, right? Or the first stop, the go-to person for ideas about Y, right? And that's the most important thing to do first. Now, where does that come from? It comes from your experience. It comes from your expertise. It comes from your passions, the things that you care about, the things that you want to do. Maybe it's some personal stuff instead of professional things that you do. Maybe it's some personal things, right? When I set out to do this, I'm a reformed touring musician. I spent a bunch of time through college and after college playing piano and keyboards in bands. One of the things that I happen to know a lot about because of that is I know a lot about vintage electric pianos. Right. I used to have a collection of vintage electric pianos, and I know, a Cliff Clavin amount of information about vintage electric pianos. Right. And if you get that joke, I'm super excited about this already.
We're about the same age, so we get the joke. But yeah, absolutely.
And so, I could have gone after that. I could have planted my flag and said, look, I want to be the vintage electric piano guy. That's where I'm going to plant my flag. But you know what? That's a very niche community. Frankly, the monetization options there are limited, right? It's not a growing community by any stretch of the imagination. It's kind of a connoisseur aficionado kind of community. So I didn't go down that path because I didn't see the scalability there, the ability to really grow a real audience of impact, of meaningful size there. And so I ended up picking the things that I knew, which was my experience and expertise. Now, the important thing to remember here is if you're going to do that, the next thing that's going to come into your head, and I guarantee it because it comes into my head and literally everybody else who thinks about this is, well, great. Everything about my domain and my expertise has already been said, right? Or how am I going to rise above the noise, right? With the internet, everyone's got a voice. Everyone can say whatever they want, and they have.
And they are.
Right. They are, and they have, and they continue to do it. So how do you differentiate? How do you rise above that? And that's the next step. So you pick where to plant your flag, but then you decide, okay, great. What is the slice of that domain that I'm going to differentiate on, right? So the thing that's going to make me different. So for example, if you're just saying, hey, I'm a marketer, it's going to be really tough, I think, initially to stand out in the world of marketing. If you're just saying, I'm a marketer.
Well, that's like saying I'm a coach. Well, yes, so is everybody else in the world. I'm a consultant.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, okay. But I'm a marketer in the healthcare industry for specific types of medical practices, for example, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you've now narrowed the domain to give yourself focus and differentiation, but not so much that the audience size is too small. You can't scale up to an audience size of a meaningful scope, right? And so that's the next step, is to really decide sort of what slice of this domain am I going to own, and really, really kind of dig your heels and plant your flag there.
I really love that. And I think that's really good. The concept is super specialization. So you have the general practice, the GP doctor, who just kind of sees everybody. And what are you? I'm a doctor. Then they refer you to a specialist, and that specialist may be ear, nose, and throat. And then there may be a super, because there's lots of ENTs out there. There may be a super specialization, and the joke is that you've got the left ear doctor and the right ear doctor. But that really illustrates what you're talking about. Don't make it so narrow that the audience is too small for you to make a good impact on. But really, the GP, the general practitioner doctor, doesn't get paid what the brain surgeon gets paid. Then but then brain surgery or neurosurgery can be defined even more. So I really love that. That's perfect, especially with all the voices out there and all the people, promoting themselves and their products and services. How do you stand apart? How do you differentiate yourself? I want to circle back to the first step here. You said identify where to plant the flag. And this is something that a lot of my clients struggle with. I think a lot of listeners probably struggle with this. And it's because I only work with brilliant people, and brilliant people will say, hey, I'm good at a lot of different things. I have expertise in marketing. I have expertise in media. I have expertise in graphic design. I have expertise in building websites. How do I pick one thing to plant my flag on?
It's tough, right? And I think that there's a decision-making process to be made. And initially I think that you need to really think through, where you'd like to spend your time. So where, for example, of the 5 or 6 things that you do, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that you do, where do you really enjoy spending your time? Because if you're going to succeed, if you plant your flag and you successfully become forever employable in that thing, you're going to spend a lot of time doing that thing. And so
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, okay, you're great at, and this is kind of the place I got to a few years ago. Okay, I'm really great at marketing, but I'm tired of marketing. Now what? Now you got to reinvent yourself all over again. And I was able to do that and still bring in the marketing, but that can be a challenge for people. So find something that you're good at, but also something that you enjoy. So you may be good at a dozen things, but if you really get down to what's fun, what's enjoyable, what lights you up, and what is something that you're willing to commit the next 10, 20 years or more to becoming the top 1% in your field. Is that what you want to hitch your wagon to, or is it something else?
Yeah. And sometimes it kind of happens to you unexpectedly. And then all of a sudden you become that person. I mean, my experience is kind of like that. So I was telling you, I was solving this problem for web and software designers with my team and some colleagues. And that turned out to be my first book, the book you mentioned in the intro, Lean UX. Now, Lean UX became very successful in the tech world. And when companies have problems with integrating their designers and their software developers and other parts of the organization, they often turn to Lean UX. And then the first person they go to after that is me. I'm the Lean UX guy. And I've been the Lean UX guy for a decade. And I set out to become forever employable, but not necessarily initially the Lean UX guy. But it's been 10 years. It's actually been 12 years of doing that work and being that guy. And I love doing it, but like you, over the last few years, I've been looking for ways to expand that. And to be perfectly honest, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to try to expand the conversation because people know you for that thing. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone into organizations and said, I'd like to talk to you about digital transformation and business agility. And they'll say, yeah, but you're the Lean UX guy. You know? Yes, that's true, but I can do other things too, right? So just like there is a double-edged sword to it. So, but to your point, right? You need to be ready to kind of spend time with this for a while, because that's how you would become the magnet for opportunities, is by perseverance and consistency.
I love that. I'm speaking with Jeff Gothelf. He is the author of Forever Employable, How to Stop Looking for Work and Let Your Next Job Find You. And wow, this really fits into the Rebelpreneur mindset of learning how to create value and working with what you've got. And the greatest asset you have right now is yourself, your experience, your expertise, the things that you are passionate about. All you have to do is package, position, and promote yourself in the way that others are being attracted to you and you're not chasing them around. So this is a really, really needful conversation, and it really raises my level of awareness of what's possible. How can people reach out to you, Jeff, to find out more about your book and the other things that you offer as well? Because you offer training and programs and different things.
So by design, I'm easy to find. It's not a coincidence, but the easiest way to find kind of everything you need to know about me is my website, jeffgothelf.com. You can go straight there. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, another great way to get to follow to kind of keep in touch there. Those are the easiest ways. I'm on Twitter a lot too. My username there is jboogie. And that's a long story for another podcast.
That's probably something to do with those electric pianos, right?
Probably something to do with those electric pianos. But that's it. That's jeffgothelf.com. Easiest way to find me. Absolutely.
Perfect. And we'll have that link on the Rebelpreneur website as well. So people can just click straight through to jeffgothelf.com. Jeff, I really appreciate you being on the show today. Any final thoughts or takeaways that you'd like to leave us with?
Look, I think the biggest thing to remember here is that you said that your biggest asset is you, and I'm going to double down on that. There's the sense of imposter syndrome when people set out to build a platform to show. They feel like they're showing off their expertise, or they feel like I don't have anything to say. The amazing thing is that you do have something to say because you have your story and your experience, and no one else has that. That's the biggest asset you have is the steps that you took to get to where you are today. No one else has taken that exact combination of steps, which means you have a unique story to tell. And I urge you to tell that story.
Wonderful. Yep, I agree 100%. I've been speaking with Jeff Gothelf. He works with people to help them transform, both in the digital and professional development sense. And he is the author of several books, including the award-winning book Lean UX and the Harvard Business Review Press book Sense and Respond. He's the author of the upcoming book Forever Employable. If you want to find out more about that, jeffgothelf.com is the place to go. Jeff, thank you so much for being on Rebelpreneur Radio today. I really appreciate it.
Ralph, thanks so much for having me. This was great.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.